And John, did you have any comments that you wanted to make amidst munching on a chip?
Um, uh, I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit in awe of Susan's solo. To be honest, it was really awesome to watch. Um, I was particularly impressed with how well she used the fretboard up and down all over the place, and all the expressive techniques that she used as well. I could go on and on, but I think most of it has been said.
Yep. Great. Okay. So, yeah, look, we commented on Susie's first solo, but I really thought it was really, I hope, useful to just really, really draw attention to it this time.
And the thing is, for those of us that don't play that well, is not to be intimidated, is just to actually learn from it. Because you can't learn English from another baby. You can't learn how to improvise from a bunch of us just playing C pentatonics. You know? So we've all got to learn from someone, including us, including John, including teachers like Kathy and Steph. We've all got people that we all learn from, Michelle, and
We get inspired by different musicians.
yeah.
And we all get influenced.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start it with a warm-up. We call it the Quokka warm-up.
yes, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the crotchet thing
Dun, 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 dun,
is what
dun,
I'm trying to
dun.
break out of here. Have some of our mob and Kalpa, Trish, you would have done, and both Trish's, would have done a little bit of Quayla. I occasionally throw it in, but I don't do it very often. Kwela. And it's South, and Di, you would have done this over the years. It's South African township music, and it's done on very cheap instruments, like mostly whistle. And it's all I've learned this stuff from Andy Rigby in Victoria, and he often will have a Quayla group at the National Folk Festival where you gather in the street and you don't have any music, and then it's 3 simple chords, and then you just make up little riffs to go along with it. I'm a trumpet player as my first instrument, and so that's what I'm used to. I'm used to making up brass lines that you repeat over and over in a rock band or a cabaret context. But this is about only 3 or 4 notes that you repeat.
Yeah. Now remember the exercise that we did in week 1 where we had Sam Leman just playing da 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 da. He only used 3. I think it was three notes. Remember that little video that I posted? So you're going to do the same, but it's going to have a little bit of an African feel to it. And so we're going to ask you, here's the thing, try and use a slide. Try and use a hammer. Only 3 or 4 notes, maybe a little bit more. Create lots of space. So Mark's going to give you a demonstration, right? And you have a repeating phrase that you repeat it, but maybe on the 3rd and 4th time, you change it a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right? So you're going to repeat this phrase, but you just change it a little bit. And I want it to incorporate either a hammer or a slide or a bend. Now, African music has a lot of that stuff in it. So Mark will demonstrate, for instance. Shall I just go see
FG.
FG, yeah. So you're... So he was doing a hammer there, a hammer and a bit of a pull-off there. So it's very short. It can be fast. It doesn't have to be fast though. You could just do something like yeah. Could you do it?
1, 2, 3, 4.
so fast. I'll do it one more time. Okay, so
And I can see when you got to the top of your slide,
Yeah.
you gave it a
oh
you
yeah, I gave
vibratoed
it a bit of vibrato.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an 8-string. It's hard to give it a bend, but I can give it a vibrato. So we're just gonna. This is just a little warm up now.
Does it make
This
sense?
stuff is pentatonics, okay? Just
Yeah.
pentatonics. Don't have to be amazingly crazy bluesy.
And in my experience,
Do you want me on the bass? You
or
want
I
me?
can do it
Yeah.
on the bass. In my experience, if you do this with a group, and so you pick somebody, you say, you go, Sue, can you make something up? And so Sue makes something. Good. Can you teach that, Sue? Can you teach that to Di, to Anna, and to Patrish? And then you've got 4 people doing the one riff that Sue has just invented. Then you go, okay, Michelle, can you please? What have you got to contribute? And it would complement what Sue's got, hopefully, and Sue's already playing with her group.
Anyway.
So it's a really nice little exercise to do with a group.
So I just wouldn't mind seeing Di. Can I see your hands a bit more? Anne, your hands a bit better? Because I don't want you to, and the reason why I want to see your hands is I don't want you overplaying this, okay? Don't overplay it. Give it space. Dum, 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 dum.
How's our sound, John? Is it peaking at all? Are we
Play
peak?
for me a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that bass looks peaky.
No, not compared to...
1, 2.
Is that all right, John?
I'm
Yeah, it seems
peaking.
pretty okay to me.
Yeah,
Alright,
okay,
I'm just going
tough.
to turn it back a bit. It's peaking here.
So, can we play it a bit, and then we just get a couple of the people just to demonstrate what they might have done?
Sure, sure.
Not playing with us, but just...
No, just demonstrating
Yeah,
to us.
yeah.
So we're just going to ask you after this exercise just to play back to us what you've done. So just have a minute of playing. Just play. 1,
But
2,
repeat something. Find something and repeat it.
3, 4, 1.
Should we go?
Keep going a little bit longer.
Well,
And 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. Let's go to Stephanie Sims first, because that looked like you had a really nice slide in there, Steph.
Trying. Just want me to play?
Yeah, just play what you played.
Yeah.
It's very basic. Anyway.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
okay.
that's what it's
that's
meant to
good.
be.
That's
Good.
good.
Okay. I went.
Yeah. That's
Gold star.
good.
Gold star.
And just a tad. You can think of it in shorter phrases as well. But yeah, that sounded really great.
Sounds
Cool.
great.
Good syncopation, slides, etc. That sort of stuff.
Lovely. Very nice. Let's go to Anne Cowper now. Let's see what Anne's got.
And you got to unmute. Can you play closer to the microphone?
Can
I
you
think
get
you
close
maybe
to the
don't have
microphone?
original sound on
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, we're gonna. This might
At-
not work. See how it goes. Well,
Yeah,
that's good, apart from that mistake at the end. But that was good. I can see those slides.
You didn't quite get there, Anne.
You might need to get original sound on your setup there, Anne. But that was lovely. That was nice too.
And
Now-
I reckon if you drive 500 kilometres north, I reckon your part will fit quite well with steps.
Yeah. And now we're going to go to Will. Will, can you play us what you were doing? And get close to the...
Oh, I think Will be set up for
Yeah,
with
Will
everything.
be fine, yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, it's set to my boom mic, so we'll just see.
Boom
Can you hear
mic.
this?
Ah, that's just the right.
You've been to South Africa, right?
Yeah.
That's what
I love a man who obeys instructions.
That's Quayla. That's a real Quayla tune there.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's
How do you spell
great.
Quayla?
Kwela.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not. Yeah, and yeah, I actually never Googled it.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments on that little exercise?
I suppose the take home is
Yeah,
short,
Di was trying to copy you then, Will,
short
already.
phrases,
I could see that. Did you?
short phrases, lots of space, and rhythm. Rhythm is so important. Rhythm is the most
And
important
not
thing.
too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
So next is we're going to look at what the hell to do when songs go to have chord substitutions. Like
go
we're going
out
to
of
look.
key.
Firstly, we're going to look at "I'll Be Your Baby Tonight," e.g. Right? Okay, so we've looked at diatonic songs. They're staying in key. They've got C, A minor, F, G, maybe a D minor, maybe an E minor. So take a look at "I'll Be Your Baby Tonight," and some of you would see straight away what's called a secondary dominant, a dominant that's borrowed from another key.
What's going to be your go-to scale for this?
Well, let's just firstly find out where the secondary dominant is.
I was going the other direction.
Yeah, I
and
know.
then catch them out.
Oh, okay.
What's going to be your, what?
D7.
Sorry? Oh, the D7 is the nasty, tricky chord.
So if it was in the key of C, that would be a D minor, but it's actually been borrowed from the key of G, and it's a dominant chord. That means a seventh chord borrowed from another key, as in G. So it's called a secondary dominant. It's borrowed from another key. Okay. So what the heck do you do on this song? You could just noodle away on the C pentatonic until you get to the D7.
And then I would just counsel that you be careful, because what's not going to work out of the C major pentatonic on the D? Is there anything? I don't know. Anybody got a clue?
I think everything would actually work pretty well
Ooh, on the pentatonic.
on the pentatonic, not on
Yes.
the
What
that's
about-
I thought.
Sorry,
What about
Nicholas.
F sharp? Sorry, isn't there an F sharp in a D7 chord?
Yes, but
But-
we're talking about what are we soloing over the chord.
Yep.
So it's coming at it from the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's really like pentatonic is the safe is safe, but often we will throw in the B and like the 4 and the 7, the B and the F. So if you were doing that, and then if you were doing a major scale, and then you were playing a D7, well, the F is going to be wrong.
Yeah, and the B note too, probably. So, no, I'm not. I'm wrong there. Sorry, disregard
D,
that.
do,
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
do. It'd be a 6. Yeah.
So, the D7, you can play a C pentatonic in this, but it's going, because it's a D7, it has a C note in it. So you could play the C pentatonic.
The other thing that I would think about
But-
is just because you can
Doesn't
play
mean
it,
you want to, yeah.
and it doesn't mean that you just play that. I mean, don't forget all those other things that you have to have in it, like feel and listening and going, well, okay, that's going to a D7. That's a really key part of the song. What could I play in that spot that which note out of the pentatonic it might even be, you know,
Yeah.
or
Or you might even just decide, the thing I do with these sorts of songs is I decide I'm going to go to a D pentatonic there. I'm going to move out of the C into the D pentatonic. I might even do a bit of an F pentatonic.
which is sort of what I think Susie was saying she was doing with Four Strong Winds.
And then up to the G and then back to the C. So anyway, we're just going to have a play again. It's just all a play, and we want you to experiment on this. This is a really simple song. It's only got one chord substitute. The next song has a couple.
And then just afterwards, if you can, if there's something that you discovered on that, can you let us know? That
And we are doing this reggae style. So
Robert Palmer style,
Robert,
UB40.
yeah, UB40. We're doing it reggae style. So that lends itself towards a nice little short phrase with a slide, a bend, some hammers, you know, something that's a bit funky, not on the beat, not like, try not to do this. Okay, it's a little bit on the beat. So instead, I would syncopate that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the idea. Just give it a little bit of groove.
Close your eyes. Close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. You don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight.
1, 2, 3,
Well then.
mockingbird is gonna sail away. We're gonna forget it, and that big fine moon is gonna shine like a spoon. Yeah, we're gonna let it. You won't regret it.
Take your shoes off.
To the fear.
Bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. Gonna repeat. Oh, are you an instrumental? Yeah. Instrumental. D7.
And we'll stop here. No, cool.
You shouldn't finish that song with a cha-cha-cha.
But we do. I think we should come back to that song when we do chord inversions.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
good.
think we should do chord inversions and actually do that song again.
Okay, cool. Any comments? Did you find anything tricky or tasty in that with the D7 in particular? No.
Speak up, don't be shy.
Speak up. No.
Or tell us if you found it really hard on the D7. That's a good...
Oh, yes, Sue.
I just played the F basically, or went around either side of the F.
F note.
Yes.
And when you say either side, Do you mean?
You mean the E and the F sharp?
Yeah, E and F sharp and G.
Right. Cool. That's yeah.
Thank you. You're leading us directly down the path we want to go, Sue.
Excellent.
So I played E, F sharp, and A.
No. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
that's nice.
Great.
Yeah, that's good, and that's that's.
Any other
info.
comments?
Anne?
Anne?
Like using the suggestion of the pentatonics going and watching the chords and changing from chord to chord doing the pentatonics. I found that worked really nicely.
So you just used because it's such a slow changing song with chords. You just played the scale that was appropriate for that particular chord.
Well, not the whole scale, but just notes in the pentatonic of whichever chord it went. Like when it went to the F, just jump up to the F and use some of those notes.
So, but you use the same pentatonic scale pattern, but just went to the fret that it starts. So you went to the fifth fret for F.
Yeah, the fourth. Fifth and the seventh. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is an easy song to do that on, isn't it? Because it's open to the second, to the fifth, to the seventh.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, great.
Nice, Anne.
Great. They're all different solutions.
So we're going to possibly come back to that song. Do you want to go to Cagford now? We'd like to thank Kathy Wellsford for giving us a nice Cagford printout that's more user-friendly than ours. And for instance,
Cagford. Why are we saying this strange name?
well, yeah, indeed. Why?
So have you all got that? You've got a couple of different resources there. You've got Kathy's. You drew that up, didn't you, Kathy? Yeah. There's Kathy's Cagford system for playing up the fretboard. Can everybody see that? Has everybody got that? Just nod vigorously. Good. And then there's this one that we've been using, which is called Ukulele Chord Forms, which I cannot remember where I found it. Compiled by M. Ace 2003, which it says the same thing in a different way. So, Kathy, did you want to lead the explanation of this? I'm happy to, but of the Cagford, you have to unmute, Kathy.
Sure, no worries.
Yeah, you're happy to do that?
Yep, that's good.
Okay, I'll spotlight you.
Thank you. So, I first did a workshop with Bosco on Cagford, and then Steph Payne came back from Canada last year and said, can't always get fresh donuts. So that's the acronym to help you remember the chord shapes as you go up the neck. So if, for example, you want to practice all your C chords up the neck, these are the shapes you do. So we know the ordinary C shape, but then that's the C of Cagford. Then we get the A shape, which is the A of Cagford.
And you're still playing the C chord there.
We're still playing the C chord. Then we get the G shape, which you're supposed to play the whole thing.
Yeah, get it together, Kathy. Come on, you've got to do the proper one.
I just play that one. There it is. But most of the time I just do that and leave off my G string.
As do I.
Because when you play the 7th fret, the F shape of the can't always get fresh, it's almost the same thing and it's much nicer and it's much easier to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I very rarely play the D shape up on the 10th and 12th fret. And usually I cheat and just play that. So we've got all the C chords going up and down the fret. And then that one. So I've got all those choices to play C. But the real magic happens when you want to play a different chord. Yes. So if, for example, you decide you want to play all the A chords up the fret, we start on the A shape. Start with A.
So it becomes Agford.
Yes, that's right. So you just put the C on the end. So you start with your ordinary A,
Just bring your fingers into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Start with ordinary A. Then the next A will be a G shape on the 4th fret. I don't know what the rule is for finding the fret. I just work it out as I go. And then the next A will be there. No, there on where have I lost it?
Fourth fret.
Thank you. It's almost the same as the G shape. Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
The F shape. Yep. And then the next one will be a D shape. Where is it? It's on 9.
Okay. That's.
Let her finish. Let her finish.
Yep.
You said that you don't know where to find.
Yeah. What's the formula for
So that
finding?
and that's where this ukulele chord forms comes in handy. Is that you've got if you're looking at it, it says, for instance, on this, which see how that's the A-shaped one. Well, there it is there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But you know you recognise that as a B flat, right?
Yep.
But B flat is in fact A. So, but on this sheet, he's got root, 3rd and 5th. So where's the root for that shape? On which strings?
The G and the A string.
Yes. Yeah. So it does that all the way through. Like this one, is that the... No, that's not the C. That's the D shape. Whoops. There, that's the C shape there, where my finger is.
Yeah. And
you can see that the root is on the C string and on the A string. So that's it. That says it in a different way, and it's more comprehensive than the one you've got because you've got diminished shapes and -7 shapes and 6s.
But
Yours is
I need
more,
to start simple.
yours is
it's
easier
much
to understand.
much easier to
really,
use.
I've found it so difficult to explain it.
Here's what you are going to do now.
Can I? Sorry, I want
go
to answer
okay,
one
one
other
more.
thing
Right,
that
right.
Kathy had there. That and got this off Bosco as well, and so he made the point that every time you move up a shape, it connects up somewhere. So there's your C, and then starting on there, you've got another one. So there's your C, and that's your A shape. And then then you've got the connector up there. So you've got a common string between the shapes. And then when this one's got a whole lot of common ones. And as I think Jane pointed out the other day, Bosco didn't recognize that you could connect up this F shape. But you can if you've got your little finger on the, you know how that F down there? And so that's the other connector, but that's a pain in the ass, that one, as you correctly pointed out. So these are what you do. We had a really lovely moment with James Hill when James Hill was here. Was it last time? And we had a masterclass, but the whole orchestra had a masterclass with James. And we all played Rhiannon together. And James, of course, goes, oh, that's fabulous. Great, great, great. He said, so Rhiannon is A minor and F. And everybody's going, right, A minor and F, A minor and F. And he said, how come you're all playing the same chord shapes? Why don't some of you at least play something else up the neck that is A minor, that are different inversions? Now, when I've had Trish in Trish Collins in my orchestras, Trish is always practicing up the neck, so because she wants to always practice those inversions. Why is this important, Jane?
Okay. So why this is important?
Shut up, Anne Comerford.
Now, a way to improvise on jazz songs is to play the chord shapes up the neck. So, for instance, this song I might do. Let's think. I might do a C up there. Okay, and now to improvise on that, I would noodle around that shape, including. Can you?
I was playing the song for you.
Yeah, no. So I would noodle around it chromatically. Remember how last week we did the chromatic stuff? So I'm holding that G shape up there. I'm using and I'm just moving chromatically around that shape. So my finger occasionally goes that. So there's my C chord. I'm going to follow that one. My D7, I'm probably going to just, I could do that. Oh,
A7 shape.
Oh, great. Great. And so for my D7, I could use the bar across the fifth. That would be 5, 6, 7, 7. And I would again move chromatically around
5,
that.
6, 5, 5.
Oh, sorry. 5, 6, 5. I don't like that one, actually. I like...
Yes, right.
Yeah, I prefer to use the B flat shape, or the A shape, on the 5th fret. It's not a D7, it's a D, but I can add the 7 in if I want to. Where is it? Where's my fingers? Oh, there's my 7th is the... So what I do is, again, I play around it with my little pinky, or I might drop my first finger. Then I'm on the F chord, which is so simple.
It's so simple.
Barring the 5th, yeah.
And you're basically just doing notes out of the pentatonic scale.
And then the G.
In the way that you know.
Or the F, I might use this. I love using it, an F6, an F2.
Oh, with the G.
And then it's easy. Any F shape you use, it's easy to take it up 2 frets to be the G or the G7. Now, John's going to demonstrate that. I'm not trying to trick John out, but John does this very nicely. So, John, if you just noodle around those chords a little bit and show them what you do, what shapes you use.
What's the song, sorry?
The I'll Be Your Baby Tonight. The C,
sure.
D7, F, and G7, you know?
So just using those chords.
Yeah,
shapes.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So, make sure we can see your fingers.
Yep.
That's the F there, G. Okay, so you don't have to be as complex as John, okay?
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
So, a simple way to get to distinguish yourself from what's being played. So if everybody's playing down here, playing the open C, then you're easily going to be heard above the racket of a ukulele group if you're doing an inversion further up the neck. The simplest thing you could do is just play your chord shapes up there and arpeggiate them. But what Jane was saying is that there's a whole bunch of shapes that you can do, usually with your little finger, to get some sort of variation. And see, that's wrong, that one.
Well, it's not wrong, though.
Yeah, no,
it's not
yeah.
wrong. You just play around with it.
Yeah.
You don't go, oh, that's wrong. You don't. You go, oh, sounds a bit crunchy, moving it 1 fret either way. Because you remember, you're only 1 fret away from the right note. So that's a way of doing jazz songs
Which is what Sue, that's what Sue said, wasn't it? She said you were on the F sharp, but then you went down to the F or up to the F sharp,
I think
G or what, somewhere around that.
She was on the F and she went up. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But yeah, you just move 1 fret. And so we're going to do this song again. And if you can, now give yourself a minute, get your shapes up the neck, right? Work out your C, D7 or D, F or G. Don't worry about the 7s because you can add them in, like...
Does anybody have a question or I don't understand, or what song are we playing?
So we're going to do I'll Be Your Baby Tonight.
No, and are there any questions or comments about what we've just gone through with the inversions?
I just feel, because I'm quite a linear person, that I'm going to need to map out myself, like here's C and here's all the inversions on C, and here's D and here's all the shapes, and memorize them that way.
Sure. You know what though? I only know 2-3 inversions of C. That gets me through.
Yeah, like
I only know about 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Kathy. What did you say? Yeah, 3.
yeah,
you know?
because in the Cagford,
Yeah.
the G is not used. Like you think of actually just the literal
G shape's
G,
a bugger.
but you think of the literal G, just the 3-finger G up the neck. That's really easy to
I
find.
also never use the D shape.
And the D shape,
D shape is very limiting. Kathy, are you agreeing with me, John?
I never use the D shape. It's too hard. And if I use the G shape, it's without the AAG string.
Same me. Yeah.
Yeah, Trish.
Trish?
Unmute, Trish.
I learnt mine by following an inversion chart, this one here, which you probably can't see, and I just went A, B, 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 C, 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 and practiced them in front of the TV, and learnt the in-between part notes, because there is 4 or 5 inversions of everything. And again, I often play 3 strings when you're doing quick changes. The fingering, particularly up here, gets very, your fingers get clumsy trying to change shapes, which I tend to play.
Get really cramped up there too.
It gets cramped, and this is my role in the band, is to play inversion. So it's my voicing is always the inversion. So I'll play 3 strings more often than not.
And you have to be complementary, particularly in a band.
And also, if you have trouble with bar chords, like my fingers are not that strong, particularly the A string will ring. So that's why I'll play a certain amount of bar chords, but then I'll play it like this, like there's your D7. I'll use the 3 fingers so I don't get any buzzing, even though, or I should say the C. Sometimes the chord I'll use 3 fingers instead of a bar, because that way I get a cleaner note.
Oh, I
and
see.
that's
Yes.
I get a cleaner note that way. And so it's just working with your own capabilities.
That's right. And choosing the strings. So we will often come up. Thank you very much for that, Trish.
It's okay.
We'll come up with riffs, and you'll basically do one of these chord inversions, and but you'll only use 2 of the strings.
Yeah.
To deliver something.
Because remember, you're not actually playing, you don't have to play the whole chord. You're just playing little bits of it.
But it's really useful to know those inversions, so you can pick notes out much more easily all over the neck.
So have a minute to get yourself ready, which chords, which inversions you're going to use. We're going to play that song again. And just, if you can, try using those chord shapes and using the notes around those chord shapes to create your improv. You're not strumming, remember? Nobody's strumming, yeah? No strumming. Because you're not playing chords, you're playing the notes of the chords. Okay, you're ready? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and... Let's not sing. Here's a D7. Here's the F. G7. Back to C. C. What's Jane doing? D7. D7. Trish. Okay, we have to stop. G7. And stop here. Trish, anything wrong? You're not quite getting that?
Trish Collins or
Trish Adams, sorry, Trish Adams. Trish, could you unmute,
Trish?
please, and tell us what's wrong?
Yeah, I just don't get it.
Oh, good. You don't understand that? Understand what
No.
the whole thing
No,
that we just
no.
taught? And
Oh.
Jane Shields, are you in the same boat?
You know what? I actually get this, but the problem is that I know, surprise, Mark, but the problem is my music's on the iPad, so I have to actually see I haven't got it on paper, you see, with all those notes, because I obviously don't know them.
So, Trish, you've looked at all this, have you?
I've got it.
Yep,
But
good.
yeah.
But you just
Yes.
don't understand the concept of it. And I
Relating it to what you're calling out. I don't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with Trish there.
Oh, thanks. Thought it was just me.
No, and it never is, Trish. So you've got to stick your hand up.
Well, that's why I didn't play, because I thought I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, cool. Will, can you please take another perspective on what Trish is asking now or saying?
Well, I got the C, so I'm pretty good.
For me to explain it all again, Trish, I'll just do it really briefly. You know your chord shapes, don't you? You know your C, your F, your G, and your A.
Yeah.
Hey,
right?
can I just interrupt? Trish, do you play piano?
I do. Yeah.
Right, great. You know on the piano how you're always trying to do different inversions on the keyboard of the same chord?
Well, I know about inversions. So instead of say if it's C, instead of starting with C, you start with an E, and that would be the first inversion.
And that's what these are. They're inversions of chords up the neck. We've got this, whereas a piano's got that, but we've only got this. So what we're doing is different inversions of the C chord. And that
but where it's got the inversions, that's just C. So then when you're saying D, then I couldn't transfer that.
Okay, so what's happening here is it's called Cagford, right? And
I understand that.
You understand that you can play C that looks like your open C. You can play C that looks like the open A. Do you understand that?
C that looks like the open A. Oh,
Like
okay, yeah.
flat.
So it's the third on the second one there.
Third fret, and then you can play C up the neck, and it looks like a G.
Yeah, that's the third one on the sheet.
But what she's saying, love, is she doesn't understand why you then say D7, right? That's what you're saying.
So what do I do then?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
D7.
Then what you do is you find another inversion of D or D7 up the neck.
So how do I find that? And then having to go quickly from one to the other, then
That's called practice.
But we just got it.
That's why I said I'd give you a minute, which obviously wasn't long enough.
So can you show us an inversion of D7 then, just for an example?
Yes. So can I butt in?
So Kathy's got 3 pages.
I can't figure that out though.
Kathy's got 3 pages.
Go, Kath.
Yeah, I've got 3 pages.
So if you look at the third page, the seventh chords, and you play your ordinary D7, a full D7.
Okay.
And you go to Cagford, C, A, G, F, D. So if we want the next D7, it will be in an A, we're up to C, aren't we? It will be in a C7 shape, which really is what we've got actually. So let's go to the A shape on 3, A7 shape. What am I doing? Sorry, I'm doing D7.
Yeah, you're doing a C7.
Yeah.
It's on the 5th fret.
Yeah. So I should, on what fret?
5th fret. 5th fret.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it is.
4, on 4.
No, D7.
That's an E7 you're doing there, Kathy.
Oh, God, I'm confused now myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you can see, Trish Adams, that even the person who wrote this up doesn't know it backwards yet.
But also what I did say was just go to a D chord. It doesn't need to be a 7th because you add the 7th in. So you know a D chord. It's the B flat shape up on the 5th fret, isn't it? That's a D.
Well, I wouldn't know that. On 5th fret.
Now, hang on, Trish. Just hang on. I know, Trish. Just hang on. And then you can just add on the C note. Now you know where the C note is on the E string, right? It's on the 8th fret. So there's your D7 chord. Yeah, nice, great. Okay, Trish, have you got anything quick to add to that? Quick.
I was going to ask Will.
Just use your movable shapes like a G7. For a D7, you just follow your notes, your scale, all the way up to the 8th fret, and that same shape becomes a D7. So each of these, each shape is movable, and as you count up, you've got your D7, you end up on an A7, end up on a C7 and a D7, and you just follow it up. That's the one way to figure out where they are.
Yeah, but that's yeah, true. But then you've got to know your notes on.
So, and that's where I was pulling this up when you were talking. Then Trish, I was putting that up. That's where you know where your notes are on the neck. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Will, were you going to say something?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
Good.
And so then we need an F.
Oh, I've got it.
We need an F chord. So for instance, you could use the 5-5-5-8. That's a really easy F chord. Is that all right, Trish? And Will? Yeah, great. And then the G7, just 2 more frets up. They're the simple, easy ones. Go to, which actually would be a 7-7-7-8. But what's more important is you then know you play around those notes.
John, were you going to say something?
John, you got to say something?
Oh yeah, I guess just I wanted to mention that learning all this stuff and remembering it takes a bit of practice. You know, like you've got the methodology, the Cagford to figure it out, and going Trish's method of going up with the shape, but really you kind of just need to sit down with it for a while and figure it out for yourself and experiment using different songs to see how it works.
Great.
Okay,
Thanks.
Kathy?
So I've had that Cagford method for ages, and you can see I haven't got it under control yet.
That's right. And I'm in pretty much the same boat. I remember doing that workshop with Bosco 8 years ago. Steph, you're going to say something?
What I do, and because I said I'm very, very linear, so if I've got a song and I want to do inversions on it, I sit and play with all the shapes and I get them, and then I find which ones are all close to each other.
Well said,
Yes,
Stephanie.
good.
That's exactly
That
what
way you just don't have to move very much. But I don't do any improvising, so this is on you. But at least, so I kind of find the shapes that all hang out together.
And because this is an improvising course, we're teaching this Cagford thing because you can improvise around a different shape to what's being played. Yeah. So
I didn't get that. I don't get that.
So if you're doing a Lime and the Coconut in C or C7, then I can improvise.
Oh, okay. So yeah, again, it's using different inversions of the chord because they give you different notes in different places to what everybody else is playing. Is that better, Trish? Is that better, Will? Is that okay?
And
can we try this exercise now?
Oh, well,
or not?
No, I'll be your baby. I think we should move on.
Oh, okay.
Because we're secondary dominance, aren't we? So we've got some difficult territory. That one's a bit easy, I think, as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it again.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we
All
do it
right.
again personally because you can't go
See
on
if
to
I
bloody
care.
Santa Baby until you've licked this one. I tell you, Santa Baby's a tough one. So first, try. You've got 30 seconds. Find your 4 chord shapes. That's all. Not shapes. Your 4 chords.
And we're watching you, Trish Adams, really closely now.
And Will.
I won't know anything.
Okay.
But you know a lot already.
Okay.
It's all right.
Can you go C there? Can I just spoon feed you then? C there, 3rd fret. B flat, 3rd fret.
B flat shape, 3rd fret.
Okay. D, just up to the 5th
Do
fret.
a D instead of a D7. It's all right.
D doesn't matter. Just you might have to add on a 7 note somewhere. That's the 5th fret. F. That's really called the C shape. On the 5th, that is 5-5-5-5-8. Then up to G7, which is 7-7-7-8. Oh, have I got that right? Yeah, I have. That was 5-5-5-8, 7-7-7-8, and then you're back in the C, which you might just want to do a G shape on the 7-8, or you might want to just go down to that. I called it a B flat shape. It's actually an A shape, but is that okay? Will?
Spoon
Great.
feeding. Good.
Sorry,
That
that's a
works for you?
spoon feed, but at least it means you've got something to start on, right? Trish, is that okay for you too? Trish Adams. Have you got your 4 chords?
4 chords of the apocalypse.
4 chords of the apocalypse. Okay, let's give this a go. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, C. Now you move into a D7 here now. Then you move into an F. Don't strum, Trish, if you don't mind, please. Patricia Collins, no strumming, thanks. C. C. D7. F for Freddie. G7 or G is fine. Don't strum well, just pluck around those notes. We're going to an F for Freddie now. Back to C for Charlie. D for dog. G7. Back to C here. D for dog. F for Freddie. G7. Back to C. I'm going to finish it here. It may not be the way you want to improvise, but it is a way of improvising. Is using Go Kathy, go Kathy.
I found some really fabulous things to do there. If you played F as an E shape, 5, 5, 5, 3, and just do the chromatic thing. Then you just move it up to get to the G, and then it just slides into the C.
I'm actually loving that shape. It's my latest thing.
Yeah.
Is that F shape, that G shape. I don't actually use this anymore that much anymore because I love this. Yeah. So, you just have passing fancies with this stuff. Oh, somebody just left.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah. Anybody, Trish, was that a little bit better for you? Great. A little bit. I can live with a little bit, okay?
We'll see on Saturday probably anyhow.
Yeah.
So, all right. Where are we going now, Janie?
So we're going to Santa Baby.
And what are we doing with it?
Okay, look at Santa Baby. Oh my God. Look at all those secondary dominants in there. Oh my God.
We haven't done the chromatic thing with these guys.
We have, and we're going to review it right now.
Right, good. So, I didn't go to the Chalmerstone workshop, but Jane did. And and so where did you want to break out, by the way?
I think we should break out on this one, actually. We've got to break out. People need a bit more attention.
Okay, around
What we're going to do with Santa Baby is you can see that it's got so many secondary dominants in there. Those are the A7s, the D7s. No, it's not too bad, actually. I shouldn't say. It's just got those two. Oh, E7. So there's a few secondary dominants. They're dominant chords borrowed from other keys, and they're going to cause you trouble. And so we're going to have a little practice together as a one big group, and then we're going to go into our 3 groups. And what we're going to do is explore the chromatic scale that we used last time. But now what you can explore is the chromatic scale and those chord shapes. So, for instance...
you put John and Jane in the same group.
Oh, sorry. John's supposed to be up there.
Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, for instance, I might move from the C to the A.
It was
somebody's...
Jane Shields. Jane Shields.
Cool. Great, she's back in. Hi, Jane. You all right? You just... Something happened with your connections. Righto. So, can you get rid of that so that I can talk? Sorry, sometimes I need to see that. So, for instance, I might go from the C. I might play a G shape up on the 7th and 8th fret. That's a C. And, oh, sorry, I went too far. And to get to the A7, I happen to know that all I got to do is move chromatically down. In fact, this is what I do. Is move down chromatically to the A7.
So chromatic shifts, so, you know, just one fret at a time, doing steps.
Little steps between your chords. That could be really tough on this song because it's a bit fast. We'll play it really slow. And so you're exploring, or you can just play chromatically if you want.
This one instead?
Yeah, let's try that. We're going to swap songs, okay, because this one's a little bit too hard. We're going to go to Creep. Sorry about that, but I think we need to swap songs.
All right, so let's break out into our groups.
Okay.
And people can...
So, John, we're going to do Creep. They're going to do chords up the neck and move chromatically between them as much as they can.
Does that make sense to you, John?
Yep. Sounds good.
Great.
Yeah, so please accept your group. Cool. Okay. Do we all know Creep? Oh, you're right with the phone. I've turned on the original sound, but you haven't got your audio and video.
I didn't know if I agree with this, but anyway.
Oh. How are we going with that stuff? Darren, how are you going with that?
Yeah, I guess I've got to wrap my head around some of the notes, learn more of them up the neck, and just work on the chord positions as well. But
okay.
Yeah, it all makes sense. It's just practice, yeah.
Yeah. And Jane, how are you feeling with this?
I thought I had it, but I'm not sure I do now. I get the concept. I have to learn the notes, and it's, I love your circles. It says patience and practice. So that's where I'm at.
It's good. It's good, isn't it? But that, you've got all the notes on the strings that,
Yep. I have that. I'm going to laminate that
and particularly the C string is really useful, because if you think about your notes, like if you're trying to find and remember the notes, if you've got a finger on your D on the C string on the 2nd fret,
yep.
So then 2 strings across and 3 frets up is the same note. So go 2 strings across and 3 frets up, but keep the same. So it's all the same as your scale and as the chord shapes. I mean, they all relate in certain ways, but it's just remembering those patterns. So there's my 2nd fret, and then there's my 5th fret on the A string. So they're like your anchor points around. So if you've got something in D or some D thing, then those 2 at least are your D notes, and they're really, really safe. Trish, how are you so your inversions, but do you you fiddle around on those inversions as well?
I play a lot of extra notes on them.
Yes, great.
But
So,
within the band. But I spent quite a bit of I did a bit of study on my secondary dominance this week. So theoretically, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I practically sometimes.
I know that, and it's a hard thing. I mean, we can talk theory all day here, can't we? But we really need to manifest that into our fingers. So, Anne Cowper, where are you at with it?
I think I understand it, but I just have to learn it a lot more. Like I have to learn where the notes are. I've got to learn the shapes. I've just got to sink it in.
That's learning the fretboard, isn't it?
It's just learning the whole thing, even though I think I can basically understand it.
Righto. Yep. Good. And steno. Good.
I'm not too bad on the. Well, I've got the C fad on the 5th fret, and I know the 7th fret because it's the same as the baritone uke. So I'm just sort of working my way around. I'm still learning it.
Okay. Great. Cool. Thank you. So let's go to the. So what we're doing, creep. So creep is a really nice, easy one to understand this concept because does everybody know this song? Darren, you know it? No? Sue, do you know it? Yeah. And Jane and Anne and Trish would, I'd imagine. Anne, you'd know this one. So, it's when I was here before, I couldn't look you in the, where are you going to go? Like, where are you going to go with your B? Rather than doing a B7, there's, no. Yes. So I'd go to the 6th fret, 6th and 7th. And then you slide up another one for the C. So I'd stick with that G shape for the sec. Just for starters. And then, so particularly when you're up on that 7th fret for the G shape, playing a C chord up on the 7th fret as a G shape, how do you get to a G minor? A G minor shape. So you leave your 3rd finger there and then flip the other 2 fingers around. That's how I do it, unless you're a Martian, as I call it. Yeah, and then you get that nice, easy chromatic shift. Trish, you were doing, what was your B7 up there? You were doing another one. Can you tell me you were doing a B7. Oh, because it's a B, I think, isn't it? In this, I haven't got it. Is it? Trish, you're muted.
Your B shape is your G shape. Flip it around, it becomes a B7.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah. Oh. So it's your G7 shape down here on 5 and 6.
Sorry, say that. Do your G. What's your G?
You know your G7 shape?
Yeah.
Slide it down to 5 and 6.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because it is a B7 in the song. I haven't got the music with me, is it? Or is it a B?
It's a B7.
Righto, okay. But you could just do B, that's okay. So let's look at what are the sympathetic notes that go with a G chord, a G shape, because that's essentially what we're working with here. What I really like is that the little finger does a lot of this work. So they're all okay, aren't they? So I'm going with my little finger. Let's go back down to G. Let's go back down to G on the 2nd fret. So I'm going, I've got my G, I'm holding my G. I do it with my little finger. So my little finger then goes on the 4th fret of the C string. Yes.
I think I realised this before, but if you work the pattern out for any shape of the sympathetic notes, it applies anywhere up the fretboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why. But that's why I'm starting down here on the G. So, Jane, I'm looking at your little finger, and I said, so we're starting on the C string. So pluck the C string. That's the A string that you're thinking about there, I think, Jane. So the C string, G, C, E, A, it's where you first, yeah, and then put your little finger onto the 4th fret of the C string, and then you're at your normal 3rd fret of the E string, and then it's the 5th fret of the E string, and then it's the normal where your finger is on the G chord on the 2nd fret of the A string. And then I think you've got the putting the little finger on the 4th fret, on the 3rd fret, I mean. I don't think the 4th fret might work very well. Maybe occasionally it would. And then I finish up on the 5th fret. So if you can get that shape happening, and I'm not sure how to express that. You're holding the G chord all the time, and your little finger is doing all the work. And yeah, so Jane, I can see your fingers, and fiddle around with it. What doesn't work as well? What does not work? Cool. Anne, you're doing a lot of stretching there, and you're on the 3rd fret there. You're doing a G sharp there, Trish, by the looks of it, I think. Are you? So why I'm saying this, so you've got all these shapes, and if it's just a G chord that we're working with, okay, you can fiddle around in that area there. But then if you're going to do a B chord, you can fiddle around with exactly the same pattern, but up the neck. You can slide it up the neck. And in this particular song, like when I was here before, gonna look you in the, you know, you can, it's for me, it's got that sense of moving up. Sure, you could go to a different inversion of the B7, but that's going to give you something pretty special, I reckon, up there. And then you're pretty close to doing a C chord. You're just sliding that up a... And I'm just doing like scales here that don't sound very good. But you should have all the same patterns, I reckon, as we had down here on the 2nd fret. I realise I'm probably not teaching what Jane was talking about. And now, keep that finger there, your 3rd finger, and flip these two around so you make a minor. It looks like a G minor, but you're up on... So we're on a G minor shape here. And what can you do with your little finger to find those sympathetic notes? And you've sort of like, you know, that's just your little finger. And around that G and that G minor shape, you have certain patterns, but they're pretty much mostly achieved with your little finger, right? Let's invert that to, let's use the C shape. So where are we going to start this one? Anne, where are we going to start? We're going to use the C shape, but we're going to play the same song in the same key. We're going to play it in G. Yeah, but that's an A shape you're doing, Anne. Remember C shape, like it. Yeah. That's your G. When I was here before, couldn't look you in the eye. Where's that? And it doesn't work down there. That's the B shape, the C shape doing a B, and it doesn't happen down the bottom. So you'd have to go up. Probably you'd be going too high as well. it would start to get out of tune. Were you going to say something, Trish, there, or?
Back to that G shape and G7 shape, one of the handiest things that Dennis taught me playing the bottom 3 strings, that shape, that G shape here, there's, if you've got your major there, you flip it to your minor, the middle note there, if you bar it, you've got your major 7, and then the reverse is your G7 shape. You've got your G, so you've got the 4 different types of note, yes. And that of course is movable anywhere up and down your fretboard. You get the same combination, your major, your minor, your major 7 and your 7, all within those 3 frets, and it's really, really handy to use that.
And it's all fairly much based around that G shape.
Yeah, and it's a very handy thing to learn.
And as Kathy was saying, like, if we wanted to do the G shape properly up here, we really should do it this way. But then you've got no fingers left to fiddle around. So you want to fiddle around. You want to keep something available to help you fiddle around with, find the notes. So you can do that. I think I should close the breakout groups. You can do that on all of those chord shapes. That's the point that we're making. So so if we're doing that G up there for we've got pretty much the pentatonic scale that we've learnt down here. And then you've got your minor pentatonics and things like that. So you've got a different shape. You've got different shapes for the sympathetic notes. I haven't used that term before, but Darren, you used that term, the sympathetic notes, and that makes sense. That's
because you did.
Yeah, righto. Okay. Well, great. You're a great reflection of me. But that makes sense. I think, John, those sympathetic notes, what notes are sympathetic to the chord? That's a good sort of term, isn't it? It's not formal language, is it, or not?
I think it's less of a, like, I guess I don't know if it's a formal language for music, but it's more of a scientific thing, I think, like about how notes work together.
I see it as more as an aesthetic, something that's it's like about design and art rather than science.
Yeah. Also, I just want to apologize to the people in my breakout room for the second half. For some reason, all my sound cut out and I couldn't hear anything. So if anyone had any questions, I couldn't answer them.
Oh, okay. That's okay. So I don't know if I did the chromatic thing. I just went around. I focused on those chords.
Chords, but a little bit of chromatic movement around them, or moving chromatically to the next chord.
Yes.
It takes a lot of working out. It does take a lot of working out. Don't think it's like, ooh, I know how I'm going to do this.
What was your focus, John? What did you do?
I started off thinking I'll try and teach them all the inversions, but then I realized I don't know them all for B7 and C minor. So I did some of them, the ones I could remember. And then I also talked about, I guess, the idea that you just kind of need to work at it yourself until it starts to work for you and just learn all this stuff.
Yep. Okay, cool. And what did you do?
I gave a few suggestions for inversions but yeah, same stuff. Just find your inversions, and then for the people that were a bit skilled in my group, I said they had to find 2 inversions for each chord. I don't know if they follow the instruction though.
Right, cool. Are we doing that song?
Yeah, let's
do it. I suppose
it.
we should, and then we should.
Or maybe we should move to the next song now because
let's just do a little bit of creep and see if people apply what they've just
okay
learned.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vicky.
I wouldn't mind moving to yeah.
We'll only do a bit of it, Jane. When I was here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry.
There's a C minor.
You float like
G.
a feather in a beautiful world. You're so exponentially special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here when I don't belong here?
Okay.
How'd you go? Badly. Thank you, Anne. Not so good, Diane.
Not so good. Right,
Anne Comerford is crying. Is that right?
I have a very sore wrist.
Yes.
Oh,
All
you.
the bar chords. Yeah.
Just
Alright, yeah,
try,
yes.
just Susie, I really just, I mean, John might do something different, but I usually use, when I'm improvising up there, I'm using partial chords, partial bar chords. I'm not doing the whole thing because it's
Yeah.
just like,
I was doing the B7 with the F shape up here.
yeah,
A lot of pressure.
Yeah,
It's true. Those bar chords are always going to be a bit tricky. I think the only way around it is just to use them in moderation, because otherwise your wrists will get super sore. I wrote a song once and made that mistake, and now every time I play it, I have to have like recovery time because I have too many bar chords. In a row.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But that's what Kathy was saying. So you were doing the F shape up on that. Is it seventh?
Yeah, the sixth fret.
You're much better off just forgetting the G string and doing a G shape.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I actually, that's what I use for my B7, even though it ain't. It's just a B. In fact, if I want a B7, I just do a G7 shape there.
Oh, yeah.
On the
That's
fifth
better.
and sixth.
So much better.
Can I suggest we're going to do this one or that one?
Oh, I'm thinking of either of those. What I would like to say, which, have you got a preference?
No, I've got no. I'm fine, but I wanted to say something about.
Okay.
So we did stuff on the chromatic. You talked about Chalmers Dome, didn't you, quite a while ago? So
well, that was second class, wasn't it? The
was
chromatic stuff when I introduced that to you and Kathy and Susie.
But the thing that really struck me about what Jane learned from that workshop with Chalmers Dome is that if you're playing a song that keeps shifting and shifting out of key, just keep moving in semitones until you find the right note. You didn't do that.
You know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to do Santa. Now, I was going to ditch Santa Baby because it moves chords every half bar and it's too hard. Santa Baby, just slip a cable under the
Sable.
Oh,
It's not a cable.
But you know what? I've just realized we can do this if you are only allowed to move chromatically. Just move.
See what it sounds like.
Etc. Right? Okay. But you could, and remember, it's chromatic. You can start up here. You can start on the E note. Okay, so move across the strings a bit. Yeah, don't just stay on the A string, but have a go. Start anywhere. Although, because it's in the key of C, start on a C note-ish, or an E note, or a G note, something in the chord of C. So that's the 7th fret on your A string, the 8th on your E, the 7th on your C string.
And we're saying this technique,
and 5th on your G.
We're saying the chromatic shifts because this is a song that has lots of secondary dominance in it. And it
changes.
shifts quickly between them. So you can't rely on your
chord shapes and your pentatonics.
Or your major pentatonics. I mean, you could do the chord shapes a bit.
Let's play it fast.
Yep, okay, right. Yeah, I thought...
Yeah, that'll make it really easy for them.
No, make it hard for them to do. Okay.
It'll be faster. Yeah, so now what I want you to do is to stay in rhythm with us. It sort of doesn't matter what note you play, as long as it's in time with us. Chromatic, remember? Chromatic, starting anywhere you want. Doesn't matter, keep going up and down. When it sounds great, you stay there.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me. I've been an awful good girl, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight. Santa baby, a 54 convertible to light blue. I'll wait up for you, dearie, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight. Think of all the fun I've missed. Think of all the fellas that I haven't kissed. Next year I could be just as good if you check me off my Christmas list. Santa baby, I want a yacht, really that's not a lot. Been an angel all year, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight. So hurry down the chimney tonight. So hurry down the chimney tonight. How was that chromatic? How did that work for you? Yes, it's really fun, isn't it? It's hard. I find it actually quite hard to do. I don't sound very good, but God, at least it gives you a tool, another tool in your toolbox for what to do with these difficult songs. Is there any... what's the homework, Jane?
The homework is to improvise on a jazz song.
Kathy, by the way, you're grounded. Thank you.
Kathy's going to submit 2 pieces. And,
Can I ask a question?
Go, Anne.
Please,
yes,
Anne.
please.
Our homework for this week was going home, and we didn't play it.
You know what? I changed that. Sorry, I should have sent you an email. I
looked
took it
ahead
off.
too early. You
Yes.
want to do that, don't you? You've mastered it.
Sorry.
You want to do it.
I'm so sorry, Anne.
So I can do it in my own lunch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I changed it because we put it on there for last month's group. They sort of needed a little bit of that action. And this time we felt that this group needed this sort of action.
No problem.
So that's what I find really useful about the
That's what the homework is
homework
for.
is
It's to
for,
give
I
us
go,
feedback about where we think
where
we
Where
can
we're
help
at.
you guys.
Yeah, so sorry, Anne.
No worries. No, it's all right. I had fun playing it.
Yeah, good. I'm so sorry, Anne. She was well ahead of me. She did her homework and then I removed it. Very nasty.
Off the page.
Excuse me, Jane, is there any particular key, major, minor, any for the jazz song?
No, keep away from minors. They're hard. They're next
Different,
week's
yeah.
work.
Okay.
So just stay on any sort of jazz song that's got secondary dominance in it. Or you can even go for minor chord substitutions. So like
We've put some on the resources page, haven't we?
yeah, we've put them on the resources page. They've labelled them as such, that these are jazz songs with secondary dominance or minor chord substitutions. That's where, like Blue Darling, I was a fool, broke every rule, Blue Darling, and then it goes to a minor. You know, the major goes to a minor. That's a really typical device in songs.
My apologies if Elliot and I are a bit stupid in some of the recordings of the songs that we did, and a bit verbose, but you'll be thankful now. Elliot has actually left the building. He's gone back to Sydney and he's got rid of his toxic flatmates that he had to get rid of. So 3 months he was here and
yeah, we're empty nesters.
COVID is over.
For Sydney. Maybe. So yeah, next week we want to see you do some jazz stuff. So try to remember to use your moving around chromatically, your chord shapes, your chord notes. Inversions. Yeah.
You don't have to do every single inversion, but you just, if you can fiddle around doing those scales around the chord tones, that's the notes that are in the chord, the arpeggiations, and then the sympathetic notes that go with those shapes. There's a whole lot of tarot cards in your deck now, or whatever metaphor we use. Are we done? Or are we doing a song?
Would you like to do one more song, or have you had enough? Had enough. One more.
Do you want to do Blue Darling?
Yeah, this is actually quite easy, folks, because it's only got one minor chord substitution. Otherwise, it pretty much stays in the key of F.
And it's long. You stay around for a long time. Thanks for helping out today, John.
And Kathy. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy, very much so. Yes.
So we're going to do Blue Darling. It's in the key of F. It does have a minor chord substitution. The B flat goes to a B flat minor, which means the third just changes a semitone. So you could muck around on the F and muck around in your chord shapes, muck around chromatically, because it will work in this song. It's got that sort of feel to it.
I was a fool. I broke every rule. Blue darling, I saw the tears that took the place of your sweet smile. My heart would break if ever I should lose you. Darling, you're the lone and only one. So please forgive me. I'm sorry for the wrong that I have done. My heart would break if ever I should lose you. Oh, blue darling, you're the lone and only one. So you're gonna key change? G, we're in the key of G now. So forgive me.
Use a C minor. There's your minor chord.
I'm sorry for the wrong that I have done. My heart would break if ever I should lose you. A blue darling, you're my love, say and only one. I did it wrong there, did I?
It's all right.
Sorry. Oh, F.
F, C,
Should have
F,
gone
G.
D. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
I haven't done that one in ages. I love that one still. Last time I performed it was in a toilet in Forbes.
Oh, God. Now more